Welcome, Simsbury community sports fans, to the fourth program of our series, Inside Trojan Football, where we provide the Simsbury community television viewers with a closer look at the Simsbury High School football program throughout the season. We are now in Game 7 of our 10-game schedule in 2019. The Trojans are currently 6-1 and are enjoying a wonderful season for the players, coaches, parents, and entire Simsbury community. This is our 9th year of coverage of Simsbury football, bringing you the Friday Night Lights Trojan home games here on SCTV. I'm Roger Coombes, and I'm joined again on the show by Trojans head coach Dave Masters. Dave, really want to thank you for coming out here today, a day before your game, tomorrow night, November 8th, with Enfield.
Yep.
Back on the horse,
Back
Dave.
at it, right.
Love
it. Like coming home.
Yeah, it's nice coming home.
Off a bye and then 2 away games. That'd be good.
That was a long time.
It did seem like it, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and one of the questions I was going to ask you, Dave, was really neat. During the bye week, some good team bonding stuff. Yeah. I think that you guys, your team went to one of the laser tag places.
Yeah, we give them a day off, and we call it captain's activity, where no coaches and it's just the kids, and they pick an activity. You know, they've done bowling before, they've done laser tag. They'll last year they went to the jump zone, and
wow, we
decided, ankles.
Yeah. I don't like the jump zone.
I don't think we knew that was going on before. It was after the fact.
That's funny.
So
that's cool.
we kind of guided them into something that was a little more fun. But they were pretty competitive. But they all went, and then they went out to dinner and stuff.
That's so neat.
Yeah, they do that stuff a lot, actually.
Yeah. That's so important, Dave. I'm a big Celtics fan, and they played Cleveland on Monday night. So they got there a day early. They went to one of the mystery rooms. The whole team, just the players. Yeah. So team bonding from pros to high school,
that's
so
impactful.
Important.
It's
so
impactful.
Important.
It's a focus of ours throughout the year, really.
I love it.
Yeah. You don't want to push that stuff aside. There's value in that stuff.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Yep. So, folks, the bye week was 3 weeks ago, and we are currently 5-0. Right? We were 5-0 as our last show. Ran off wins against Hall, Amity, South Windsor, New Britain, and Conard. And then the bye week.
Yep.
And then you guys traveled over to play Manchester
on homecoming there.
On their homecoming?
Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah.
And we had a 28-14 win. It was somewhat tighter than that. And
yeah, we made a couple of things that kind of opened the door for them, and they took advantage of it, And we were a little rusty, I would say, maybe coming off the bye. But, we played well enough to win.
Yeah, that's good.
That's good. Take it any way you can.
Yeah, and they're a tough team, Manchester. They've given some good runs to some other squads as I was looking. They lost to Enfield.
Yep.
And then I think
that was the first game of the year.
Yeah, and then they beat Glastonbury.
Yeah. I mean, any of these teams now, Manchester, Southington, obviously, Enfield, these teams are tough. We're all kind of in that same fight for that battle. We all play each other, and so we're kind of all, chipping away at trying to,
Sure.
So, one week to the next, you never really know, because they're all tough and they're all well coached and they all battle, Enfield's got great players and they battle, and we'll talk about them in a little bit. But certainly Southington has a great thing going. And then Manchester, they had some real athletes there that they had a linebacker, they had a quarterback that was really good. So we had to fight. We had to fight hard too.
I bet. And they're big. They're typically a big team. They had a lot of big.
We're generally the smallest team when we
really.
Go.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, we're generally not beating anybody down with our size.
Really. Yeah. So, folks, Simsbury started out 5-0, and then with the last 5 games last season, it was really nice. 10 straight wins. I mean, that's really something to really be proud of, Dave. That's a nice run.
Yeah.
So you head to Manchester, and after the bye week, so as Coach said, maybe a touch rusty. And before we go to the video, which Coach Masters will take us through, want to give a shout out again to John Helmkamp, who does the videography, the editing, and the highlights for Huddle. And then there's a gentleman named Rocco who's up in the booth. So you've got the booth camera, you got Helmer on the sideline, and it's a nice package. They do a nice job.
Rocco's a funny story. He was the father of a guy that we coached with us for years. the kid that coached with us for years played baseball for me when I was at Hall, and then he came to coach here, and then he ended up having to move down to Washington, D.C. 2 years ago.
Wow.
We're still trying to get him back, but his father was the head custodian for me in my school at West Hartford.
Wow.
And he volunteers his time, and he comes and sets everything up on Friday night for us.
Oh, that's so
Yeah, he's a great guy.
What's Rocco's last name?
Toronto.
Toronto.
Yeah,
He is
a good guy.
guy.
Yeah, he's
I
a
talk
great
to him
guy.
all the time.
Real
when he goes
personable,
up,
yeah.
Yeah, when he goes up to the booth.
You should ask him to go on bike rides for you. He rides a Harley.
Does he?
Oh, yeah.
I'll
You
pass
could
on
wear the
that.
leather. He's a good ride.
I'm too long for a motorcycle.
All right, we better stay on task.
Yeah, we'll stay on target.
Yeah.
So Coach Masters will take us through the highlights that John Helmkamp put together of the Manchester game.
This is just the first, really this game came down to running the ball, and that's Danny Sohn continues to run hard. And we're trying to drop in, big passing plays off the run, and that's a pass to Gilbert in the end zone. He wanted to thank him for letting him come for homecoming. Very nice like that. And then, our kicker, still consistent, hitting most of his PATs, and that gives us, those points. Those are valuable points.
Definitely.
And then Aiden, who continues to show his strength, which is running the ball. There's some big dudes on Manchester, and he was fighting. This is a great run by Danny. No,
Wow, no fear.
Yeah,
Look
no
at
fear.
that.
And he spins around. He tries to do it any way he can. That would have been a touchdown anyway, but he recovered it. Our special teams continue to be one of our strengths. This particular, our kicker is usually the first one down on that. We have our Mohammed down there and some really good defenders that we put on there, and our defense has been solid all year. Schulitz, Ryan, Colin Crow, Mohammed, Tommy, they're just battlers. Here's our sophomore, John, gets a chance to run almost every game, and he can do that. He's slippery, he's small. He actually kind of, if you really think about it, kind of hides a little bit until he pops out, and that's just our defense, doing what they do, flying to the ball and smothering it. So our defensive line's been really strong this year, which allows us to do that. Jeffrey Coleman picking one off and going. We like it when he goes the other direction generally, but we like to, the defensive line doesn't get enough credit on those kind of plays because they really do it. Here's Gaffney, which gives us another back. So that's the third guy you've seen running so far, and he's just got that blazing speed. That's really kind of special when you can have that kind of, this is where the coach loses his mind over here. On the sideline.
Watch the down low.
Now that's a good play. It's a solid play. Clearly he didn't agree with it, but that's really what we want them to do. Another great play by Colin Crow off a screen, plays it right in the right spot, and really Mike Fury, our defensive coordinator, has done a great job this year putting kids in position to make those plays. One of two picks, I think, by Brendan Gaffney.
Wow.
He's been a ball hawk for us this year, but with that speed playing safety, and he can go from sideline to sideline, he's able to get a few of these.
Watch number 12 get popped.
Well, he just wanted to sample and see how soft the turf was here, He wanted to make sure it was all right. He popped right back up.
He did pop right back.
Yeah, he popped right back up. And it's another, shot of our defense just doing what they do. That actually looks like a repeat. And,
Haroon and Tommy, I
yeah,
wouldn't want
they're
them
all-
on me.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't really. Mohammed flies sideline to sideline, and Tommy doesn't let you go through the middle. Here's a little push, and this is some extra effort. I love that. It's exciting. Sam Scott getting pumped up over there.
Yeah.
We like that stuff when the linemen get to do those kind of things. Another great play by our defensive line, just smothering, and Tommy in there again. We've seen this play before, and it's really just that Gaffney run. But he's got great hips, he's shifty, and then he can hit the jets. I think this is the other pick by Gaffney here. I'm guessing it will be. See, Manchester's pretty good. Now, that quarterback, we didn't start the year at a quarterback. He's their number one receiver, had to go to quarterback, and Gaffney throws into Gaffney. So he throws a nice ball, but I don't think his role to begin the year was to be the quarterback. And so they put him in a position.
A lot of pressure, Coach.
Yeah, a lot of pressure, and you keep as all right. And this is Mohammed really doing what makes him special. Sees the quarterback take off, and then he closes that gap. That's what we want him to do. Nice. Close that gap, and there's a very exciting highlight of us taking in lots of hours of practice on that one. And then the score. And the score was 28. When you score 28, you want to, our thinking is we're going to win that game. Our defense has to be. So if 28's our goal. We want to, we want to score 28, and then our defense, we feel, can hold up to that. So that's kind of where we're
Awesome.
at on that.
All right. Well, nice job, Coach, on that recap of Manchester. So you got a week of practice, 6-0, 11 wins in a row. The whole town is talking about this football team. It's really exciting. And off to Fontana Field in Southington. Always just a tough game, no matter where it is. Before we get to the highlights, Coach Masters, why don't you just talk a little bit about some of the preparation and the trip out to Southington?
Well, yeah, I mean, Southington always presents a problem for us, and I was an assistant the last time we beat them in 2009. It was actually my brother-in-law was the head coach back then, and our OC was playing. Coach Moose was playing then, and that's, we had that team last year or that year that they like to win and do it all kinds of different ways. So, for the past year, for the years since then, 10 years since then, we've struggled to go there and put it all together. Mm-hmm. And, we felt good coming in, but we knew that we'd have to play our A game. Like, they'll come and they'll fly around the field, and they've got tools at all positions. They go 2 platoon, which means they basically have an offensive starter and it doesn't play any defense, and they have a defensive starter that doesn't play any offense. So they practice one side
at every
of the ball.
Position.
Most of them, yeah.
Wow.
They're one of the few teams that can do that, and that's an advantage for them. If you can do that and have that kind of
freshness.
Yeah. I mean, that's a huge advantage, particularly late in the game. So
good point.
We prepped for that. We ran our pace. We know what's coming. It's not for lack of not knowing. We know, and there's no mystery to them, but you have to hit on all cylinders. And the first half, we did okay. We gave up we misaligned to a kickoff, and they scored quick. They went fast. We were back on our heels a little bit. Weren't playing our aggressive defense like we normally do. And then they scored, and then they went to an onside kick right away and got the ball back. But we did hold them, and then pulled them in. We had a talk, and we did a good job on defense from that. We kind of dug in and did a pretty good job. We took advantage of a mistake they made, and we scored. And really, until right before the half, it was 14-7, and we were feeling pretty good. Like, we just needed to get into the half, kind of regroup, reset ourselves up. But we had something, we threw a turnover at the end of the half on our territory, and we basically stopped them. So with 4th down and no time on the clock, this kid number 6 for them makes one of the, another play that he made for the whole game. He gets all our guys to miss, and with no time on the clock goes into scoring. Now instead of a 1 touchdown lead, they got 2. And you start to feel the momentum switch, and that's a really tough one right before the half. So because you can't get back and get right back into the next play, you're trying to deal with that mental piece, and so that was tough for us.
I bet.
And I think the second half, their 2 platoon system and our inability to catch our breath, really kind of impacted our performance in that game. But like you said, 11 in a row is great. That's it has its own stresses and stuff too. So we were able to learn some lessons from that, about how to deal with that kind of situation and what that means now and going forward. And I think we applied it to this week. We had a great week of practice. So,
that's excellent.
If there's some bright spot to it, it would be that, okay, now reset the thing and get focused, and here we go.
And I like the fact that the defense held Southington, a high-power offense, to just 2 touchdowns in the second half.
Yeah.
That's a positive.
Yeah, and it is a positive. And like I said, it wasn't, we were okay, but there were some mountains that were difficult to climb when you're kind of winded and they're going quick and they're rested and blah, blah, blah. So, not excuses by any means, but that's just one of the realities of it, is that we need to, find ways to counteract that, and we will.
Yep.
There's no doubt about it. We will.
Full confidence.
Yep.
Well, good dress up. Coach Masterson will now take us through the game highlights provided by John Helmkamp.
So one of the great things about John Helmkamp is the sideline camera and what he does, and he captures a lot of moments like this. Like these are things that are cool for the kids to see, and that are good for the program. And he combines them into the highlight films that he sends out on YouTube. And so it's kind of a big deal. We were definitely ready for this game. I'm not sure we weren't too overhyped. I'm not sure if I didn't do a good job of balancing that or what, but then, they start right out and our defense is looking pretty good from the start. The first drive we were off a little bit, but we still were doing some of the things that we normally do, which is fly around and make some plays. Our offense is going to go around Aiden, and so he continued to do some things well in terms of running the ball. This is where we got, we took advantage of an opportunity. The punt was a great punt. They, underestimated it. Then we flying around, and then they put a shoulder right on that ball, and we were able to come up with that. And from that, point of the field, we were able to score. We were a little excited. People were running around. Poor guys down on the ground still trying to get it, but we were pretty excited. And, we started to, this is an incredible run by Aiden. The top view of this shows, a great effort, a great second effort. And our fans, this was a travel game and an away game, and our stands were great. And they've been that way all year. And I know there, this was for the division, and this, this ended up with the final standings, them coming in first and us in second. But I tell you, it felt really good to have that kind of support. And I really think it's needed for us to compete in the future. Again, Mohammed and our defense doing what they do. That kid's a great runner. 42, Cole is a great runner. And we were able to bottle him up, okay. And Ryan Guilfoyle got a couple sacks in this game. I think he got Defensive Player of the Game for this game. And he showed it, a couple sacks and putting pressure on him all night. And this is, we did not get a lot of passing yards, and that's a good play to Gilbert, who continues to shine in these situations. And this is Aiden just doing Aiden stuff. Like, that's second, third, fourth effort. And keep pounding and keep spinning and keeping his feet moving. To do it, and then hopefully the defense can hang in there. We got everyone covered, but they have some dudes all over the place, and that's another sack. And there's Ryan Guilfoyle again, getting it done. But they're going to make plays, and they're going to keep going, and that's a fumble that Jeffrey Coleman rips out, and then Schulitz is there to pick it up, and we just couldn't make anything happen to sustain drives on here. Their defense flew around. They have a kid, Billy Carr, number 51 for them, who's a legit backer. He's really good. He's a special guy, and so he was everywhere.
He was doing some talking earlier in the week in some articles.
And that's okay too. I mean, they've earned the right to do a little talking if they want to. And
sure.
When you're back-to-back champs and you're constantly in the picture, they've been in those games before, and our goal is to try and get to those games and get better at those games when we're there.
All right, now moving forward, tomorrow night, November 8th, we got Enfield coming to town.
Yep.
They have a 3-4 record. They gave up 100 points to Hall and Conard combined. They did put up 41 on Conard, my bad. Dave, no letdown. I know you and the coaches won't let down whatsoever.
Well, there's no
Mindset.
Reason to let down. They're good on tape, and they've had a couple things, and you don't know who was hurt and coming back. They do have a kid on number 88 who's a D1 kid. I think he's going to Yale. He's going to play football there. He's big, he's fast, and everything runs around him. So you're going to see him line up at a bunch of different places and trying to break double coverage, because that's generally what teams do against them. Because they do try and run it through him. So the hope is to contain him, force them to try and make some other things, and let our defensive line go to work, and hopefully we can make some things happen. But they do have a viable offense. They do put points up. They can do it. And you never know who's going to hit on what cylinder at what night.
Sure.
They've played us tough. I've said for a few years now, this is a team that's well coached. The kids fly around. They always fight. And if you give them a little bit, they're going to take it. So, I think it's definitely a concern to worry. There's no kid back in, taking this week easy for sure.
No.
So.
And I think you brought up a good point in the pre-show is a 3-year starter quarterback.
Yeah, quarterback's 3-year starter. Their running back is good. They have the tools.
Sure.
If they put them together that night, they can beat anybody, and I think they've shown that. They beat Manchester first game of the year, and I think they beat Glastonbury, I believe. I'm trying to remember that, but regardless, they do have the tools to win. Yeah. I mean, just like anybody, any one of us can have an off night, a good night, and football can go a million different ways. A couple bad things happen and momentum builds. So they're definitely a team that we worry about, along with Glastonbury the week after, and even Avon. That's a team we've had relative success against for the past few years, but you never know. The time is coming.
Sure. And let's move right to Glastonbury. Good segue, Coach. Then after this Enfield game, the Trojans take the team over to Glastonbury on a Friday night. Tough place to play, down by the river. They're always good. They're loud. They're fans. They're 3-4 as well. What do you think about the Glastonbury squad?
Well, we were talking about it today, or not today, a couple days ago, the coaches and I. And we going over there is tricky playing on their senior night is tricky. It's always one of those things. You don't want to. You're definitely not taking anything from Glastonbury for granted for sure. So that's not going to be an issue. But it presents tricky things, and so we'll have to coach around that. And a lot's going to depend on how we do on this Friday night. What the kids' mindset, what we got to rework or retool, or what we got to rein them back or push them forward. So it's a lot. Thinking ahead is kind of they're a good team, and we're going to have to worry about them regardless of what happens Friday. But the direction we take will be determined by Enfield score and where, if we come up on top or if we have to regroup again.
Yep. And what we'll do, Coach, we'll have another coaches show with everyone after these two games, this Enfield and the Glastonbury game. Then we have the Gridiron Classic, the Battle of 44 with Avon. I think it might be our 5th or 6th year doing that, and that's been a fun time.
I think it is the 5th. I think so.
And do you think that'll continue, Coach?
I don't know. I don't. Yeah. I'm not sure. I had heard. I don't think I have a lot to do with that. I think that's other people telling. I know it's going to be this year, obviously, and I think next year we go over there for the first time because they've always played us.
I know, that's right.
On our field, and so I think it's right that we go over there and give them an opportunity to have a home game.
I think that'd be wonderful.
I don't think that's. I think that's the right thing to do, regardless of what powers be or tell us what we have to do. But that's would be my hope, to give them the chance to host a game with us. Okay,
now we're going to just talk briefly about the state tournament. Coach Masters is a superstitious guy, so am I. Don't want to get ahead of ourselves. But as we sit here right now, folks, in Double L, large, these are big schools that the Trojans play against. We're 5th in Double L. The top 8 teams make it to the state tournament. Used to be 4 till 2 years ago. Coach had reminded me it was only 2 years. It went from 4 to 8. If the season ended right now, we play Ridgefield in the 4-5 game out at Ridgefield. A lot of football left. Do you talk about it at all? Do the kids talk about it?
Well, I mean, the facts are that because they've had such a good start, they've given themselves an opportunity to play in December if we continue to do what we need to do. Now, in football, just like anything, you can go on a couple a couple games, and in football, you don't have any. There's not a lot of wiggle room. You gotta win most of your games. I think 8-2, you get in anything less than 8-2, which is a crazy number.
I know.
It's not like that in other sports. You can actually have a losing record and still get in.
Right.
But in football, you got to win, and really, you're only guaranteed in if you win all your games. Because there's been teams that have gotten pushed out.
With one loss.
Yeah. And so you can just only do what you can do. But the fact is, because of their 6 straight, and then we're at a 6-1 spot with 3 games left, we are in the hunt. And that's what we asked of them. So they're there.
That's nice.
And so we talk about it because you got to prepare for it.
Sure.
What does that look like, and how does that look like if we get in? And you definitely don't want to talk to the kids much about it because we got a Enfield right in front of us.
Right.
If you don't win that, then it impacts that too. So the bottom line is, we feel lucky, I feel lucky, the kids feel lucky, and we're hungry for it. But we have business to take care of before that, or it doesn't mean anything. But you do have to prepare for it. Yep. There's teams to see and try and get film of and talk about that you may end up, because you don't want to be going in, the season ends on Tuesday against Avon, and then we play next Tuesday going in cold. So there are some, coaching to be done on the sidelines as, hey, we need to pay attention to this just in case. So there's the just in case pieces of it.
Sure. Excellent, Coach. And folks, November 26th is a Tuesday night, 2 nights before Thanksgiving. It's the last game of the year at home against Avon. If you haven't had a chance to come out to Holden Field, that's a great night. It's so exciting.
It's a 6:30 game, and
I like
that's senior night for us, and we'll wear our gold jerseys that night. The kids like that. And, it's a big deal for everyone.
I'd love to see a big crowd there supporting the Trojans that night. Dave, great job this year. It's been a lot of fun.
It has been fun,
and it's really people
keep trying to
talking about it.
Keep reminding me to enjoy it, but it's stressful too.
Well, that's awesome.
It's fun though. It's been a lot of fun, and the kids have been great, and the coaching staff, can't say enough, and just the whole package has been pretty enjoyable.
Yeah,
this is fun too.
Oh, thanks, Dave. You've done a great job, and your coaching staff, they're all the best. And it's just it's got to be a really enjoyable time with the players. And I know winning helps, but again, folks, the football family is different than any other sport I've been involved with, basketball, baseball. Football is just a totally different animal. There's a lot involved.
Well, when like you play 10 games a year and you work really hard all year for 10 games. So the wins are great and the losses are impactful. So it's not a lot of, and then you got a whole week if you win or lose. So if you win, you're worrying about that, and if you lose, we got to get back on the thing. So there's a lot of emotion tied to football. And because of the schedule, 10 games a year and 365-day program, there's a lot that goes into a game.
Yeah.
So
it's a lot riding on those 10 games.
It's a lot riding on those games.
Definitely.
Yep.
Excellent. So this wraps up our 4th edition of Inside Trojan Football here on SCTV. We look forward to broadcasting that final 2 Trojan football home games this season, bringing you the action on SCTV. Games can be viewed on Channel 95, Comcast 95, as well as on demand online anytime on www.simsburytv.org. We want to wish the best to our Simsbury Trojan football family as they continue to march on in this fun and exciting season. Many thanks to Karen Hanville and Patrick Fallon here at SCTV for their support of Simsbury sports. And again, Coach Masters taking time out here a day before practice. He's losing his voice a little bit, and we just really appreciate everything you do, Dave. You're a good man.
Thanks, Roger.
All right, Trojan Pride. Love you.
Let's go. Go Trojans.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.